I am Anil Kumar. Welcome to my series on quadratic functions. In this video, we are going to take a real-life application and use quadratic formula to solve the quadratic equation. The word problem before you is: path followed by a stone thrown from a building can be modeled as a quadratic function y equals to minus 5t square plus 12t plus 9, where y is the height in meters and t is the time in seconds after the stone is thrown. So we're given the equation clearly to you, and you need to find all these parameters. You need to find the solution for: find the height from which the stone is thrown, when will the stone reach the maximum height, what the maximum height reached by the stone is, how long was the stone in air, write domain and range, draw a graph with at least 4 calculated points. That covers almost all the concepts you need to know to answer such application questions. Well, we have been uploading videos regularly, almost a video per day, for the last 15 years. I'm very thankful to so many subscribers and viewers to share their excellent suggestions and contribute in many different ways. Such questions come from you, my subscribers and viewers. Thank you. In case you want to learn from me, you can always send an email to the address given, or you can contact us on the website. Most students who learn from us are on the top of their class. We are here to share the journey of success with you.
After attending university, the winner of this year's Certificate of Achievement Schulich Leader Award is Akshi Kandivani.
Great. Our student Akshit gets highest marks and the most prestigious Schulich Leader Award. You can be there. Join our classes and excel. Now, let us see how do we solve such a question. To begin with, let us review what is really required. I hope you remember that this form of an equation, y equals to ax squared plus bx plus c, is called the standard form of quadratic equation. Now, from this form, you can find the axis of symmetry by writing x equals to minus b by 2a. As you know, this quadratic equation will be a parabola. Now, parabola will be moving up if a is positive, but if a is negative, then it could be down. The vertex, which is at the axis, provides you the maximum height. So in this given question, where we need to find the maximum height, we'll need the quadratic formula to figure out the axis. And this axis of symmetry is at x equals to minus b by 2a when the equation is given in standard form. And that's the idea of sharing with you these standard formulae. Perfect. So axis of symmetry is at x equals to minus b by 2a, and maximum or minimum is on the axis of symmetry. In this case, since a is less than 0, we'll have a maximum. Also, solution of this equation really means substitute y equals to 0. So when this equation is equal to 0, we can find the x values where y is 0 using this quadratic formula minus b plus minus b square minus 4ac over 2a. Now that really helps you to answer the question when will or how long the stone is in the air. That means when will it hit the ground? You get the idea. So review this concept and then answer the question. So let's begin with the answers now. I hope you are fully equipped. You can also pause the video and answer these questions and then check with my solution. Find the height from which the stone is thrown. We are given this equation. Height from which the stone is thrown will definitely be when t equals to 0. Now this is a real life application where we have already defined time t is the time in seconds after the stone is thrown. So at t equals to 0, we know from what height the stone was thrown, correct? So substituting t equals to 0 in the equation, we get y equals to minus 5, 0 square plus 12, 0 plus 9. Clearly, that is 9. So stone is thrown from the height of 9 meters, right? So this is also the y-intercept. Perfect. Let's move on and answer the next question. We have done the very first one. When will the stone reach the maximum height? So let's think about it. We want to find now the axis, right? So let's visualize the situation. We already figured out that it is a parabolic path. That is to say, the stone thrown from the height of 9 meters will go up and then fall finally on the ground. Somewhere it is going to reach the maximum height. Now this maximum height we need to calculate, but first we need to calculate when. Now this when is answered by finding the axis of symmetry, right? From the quadratic formula, we know axis of symmetry happens at x equals to minus b by 2a when the equation is given in standard form. Now for us, what is b and what is a? The b value is 12 and a is minus 5, correct? So let's figure out what is the axis of symmetry. So this is at x equals to, we should write t since we are working with time. So at t equals to minus 12 over 2 times minus 5. You get the idea. So it is 12 over 10 or 1.2. Time is given to us in seconds and height y is given to us in meters. So therefore, after 1.2 seconds, the stone reaches the maximum height. So we can write down this answer. 1.2 seconds, stone reaches maximum height. Remember, whenever you're solving a word problem, solution or answer should be written in complete statement with units. So now we know that the stone reaches the maximum height when the time is 1.2 seconds. I'm again drawing this diagram so that you really understand what we are doing. So we figure out this parameter, this value of t, which is 1.2 seconds. Now we need to find what is this maximum height, that is the value of y. The initial value was 9. So the maximum height reached by the stone will be at t equals to 1.2 seconds. So let us substitute and find the value. So we get y equals to minus 5, substituting t as 1.2 whole square plus 12 times 1.2 plus 9. We can use the calculator and calculate this answer. So I'll do minus 5 times 1.2 square plus 12 times 1.2 plus 9. And I get 16.2 meters. So the maximum height reached is 16.2 meters. So we can write down our answer now, that maximum height is 16.2 meters. And this happens at 1.2 seconds. Okay, so we got almost our graph here. Let's answer the next question, which is, how long was the stone in the air? Now, what does that mean? Well, let's look into the situation. Stone is thrown from the height of 9 meters. It reaches a maximum height of at t equals to 1.2 seconds. And the height is 16.2 meters. Now, when we say, how long was it in the air? That means we have to figure out, when will it strike the ground? So that's the point. Now, at this point, height is going to be 0. So y equals to 0, right? Substitute y equals to 0 in the given equation. We get minus 5t squared plus 12t plus 9. Now that is a quadratic equation which you need to solve. So we can actually substitute these values in the quadratic formula. I always prefer to write this term with the positive value. But anyway, so we could also write this as 0 equals to 5t squared minus 12t minus 9. Does it make sense? Right? So all are positive now. Let's find t. So t is minus b, the quadratic formula. So which is 12 plus minus square root of b square, which is 12 square minus 4ac. For a is 5 for us and c is minus 9. Over 2 times a, which is 5. Correct? So that is what we have. Let's calculate this value using the calculator. So let's calculate the radical, which is 12 square. Minus and minus becomes plus 4 times 5 times 9. And we get 324, whose square root is 18. So we get this as equals to 12 plus minus 18 over 2 times 5, which is 10. This value has to be greater than 0, right? So we are only looking into positive value. So 18 plus 20, which is equal to 30 over 10 or 3 seconds. So we get this point as 3 seconds. You get the idea. We know that time t is greater than equal to 0, so we'll ignore the negative value. Do you see that? Well, some of you might be thinking, why did I change all these with negative numbers since I want to work like this? But you could work with this original equation itself. Okay. So we have our answer here, and that is that it strikes the ground 3 seconds later. That means the stone is in the air for 3 seconds. Make sense? So this is the duration during which the stone is in the air, and that is 3 seconds. Perfect. So with this, we got all the needed information, and now we are moving on to the last part of the question, and that is, how do we sketch the graph? Now, we had been sketching the graph as we moved along, but let's put it on the coordinate plane. So here is a graph paper for you. The question is, draw a graph with at least 4 calculated points. Well, we already calculated 3 of them. Do you remember these 3? Let's write down. So we calculated at t equals to 0, the value of y was 9, and that was the y-intercept given to us, correct? And then we also calculated the time when we got the maximum, and at 1.2 y was 16.2. So we got a maximum value. We also know that total duration was 3 seconds. That means y was 0. Now to calculate the fourth value, I'll just put t equals to 1 since it is easy, and calculate the y value. So it is minus 5 times 1 square plus 12 times 1 plus 9. How much is that? Which is minus 5 plus 12 plus 9, right? So it is 16, right? So that is what we get. So we have 4 points to plot. Let's start with the initial point of 9 units on this scale, and then 16 for 1 second. So at 1 second we have 16. And then the maximum is at 1.2, which is 16.2, slightly above this. So I'll write like this. And the fourth point is when it hits the ground. So those are my points, which we need to connect like a parabolic path, correct? With a smooth curve. So let's do that as we had been doing earlier also. So we have this graph here, and so there we go, and there. So that becomes the trajectile of the stone. Looks like a parabola with this axis at 1.2, right? So this point is very important to label, which is 1.2 seconds. Makes sense, right? And this is 9 as a y-intercept. So that becomes the graph of the function. Perfect. So we have drawn the graph with 4 calculated points. Here is the final look at the graph. I'd like you to now review what did we do to solve this question. So we wanted to have so many things, right? So we first figured out the y-intercept. That is the initial height, right? At that time, t equals to 0. And then we found the maximum value, right? By first finding the time, 1.2 seconds, and we used the formula for this, and that was t is minus b by 2a. And that gave us this value. Once we had this value, then we found the maximum value, which was 16.2 for us. And this is after substituting this maximum value, or the axis, right? So this is also called the axis. So maximum, because negative leading coefficient, parabola opens down. So we have a maximum at axis, which was t equals to 1.2. And then to find the last point, we use the quadratic formula. Perfect, and got the result. So once again, the quadratic formula is here for you, which is x is equals to minus b over plus minus b square minus 4ac over 2a. And that gives you the zeros. And that is how we were in a position to answer all the parts of the given question. I hope it makes sense. Feel free to write your comments and share your views. If you like and subscribe to my videos, that will be great. And you can always contact me on this email address, to learn directly from you. Thanks for your time and all the best.